Our guest is in. Again, good morning, everyone. Habari za asubuhi. Habari za asubuhi. Asante sana. Thank you so much. This is day 2 of the Africa Food Systems Summit 2023, hosted in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, the city of peace. This morning, we are going to start off with the discussions around transforming agri-food systems for nutritional benefits. And it is within the theme, the status of women in agri-food systems. Thank you so much for joining us. I am your moderator, Sabdio Dido. I'm the Director for Youth, Gender and Inclusiveness at AGRA. This is another exciting day when we look at the intersection of nutrition, human health, and sustainable food production, focusing on transforming food systems for the betterment of individuals, our communities, and our planet. This starter session and the sessions this morning will explore the multifaceted challenges and opportunities in promoting healthier diets, addressing malnutrition, and ensuring environmental sustainability, considering a holistic One Health approach. We are going to be hearing from esteemed experts, researchers, practitioners. They will share their insights with us. They will share the evidence. They will share the business cases from their diverse contexts. So we are going to start off the session this morning with a fascinating TEDx-type talk from Mr. John Dumelo. Mr. John Dumelo, kindly come on stage. The next session is a fascinating fireside chat with 2 incredible speakers. The first one is Her Excellency Mariam Mwinyi, the First Lady of Zanzibar, and she is also the founder and chairperson of the Board of Trustees of Zanzibar Maisha Bora Foundation. Let's give a round of applause to our First Lady, Her Excellency Mariam Mwinyi. Karibu, Your Excellency. Our second speaker is Honorable Anne Tiveren. The Honorable Anne Tiveren is the Minister of International Development of Norway. Thank you very much, Your Excellency and the Honorable Minister, for joining us this morning for this fireside chat. I am going to share the first question with you, Your Excellency. In 2022, you launched the Zanzibar Maisha Bora Foundation. Tell us how you are supporting rural, underprivileged women, youths, mainly girls and children, especially in promoting nutrition and economic empowerment.
Asante sana, nitaongea kwa Kiswahili. Kiswahili ni lugha yetu ya taifa. Kwanza kabisa nianze kwa kutambua uwepo wa waziri wa Norway ambaye anashughulika na mambo ya masuala ya maendeleo, na nitambue uwepo wenu wote, wageni waalikwa, mawaziri, viongozi mbalimbali. Niko hapa leo katika huu mkutano unaohusiana na Food System Africa, lakini pia na ushiriki wa wanawake katika chakula, kilimo na afya kwa ujumla. Zanzibar, mimi nilianzisha foundation ya Zanzibar Maisha Bora takriban miaka 2 iliyopita, ikiwa ina lengo kubwa la kuunga mkono juhudi za Serikali ya Mapinduzi ya Zanzibar katika kuleta maendeleo ya kiuchumi na kijamii kwa wananchi wake. Na katika Zanzibar Maisha Bora Foundation tuna mpango mkakati wa miaka 3. Moja kati ya vipaumbele vyetu ni uwezeshaji wa wanawake wakulima wa mwani, na tuliamua kuanza na hilo tukiona mwelekeo wa serikali yetu, sera ya uchumi wa bluu, ikiwaelekeza, ikiwataka, ikiwawezesha wananchi wa Zanzibar kujikita zaidi kutumia bahari ili waweze kujipatia kipato. Na tunashukuru kwamba tayari Zanzibar kwa muda mrefu, takriban zaidi ya miaka 15 iliyopita, kuna wanawake walishaliona hilo na walikuwa wameshaanza kulima mwani. Na niseme tu kwamba kilimo cha mwani Zanzibar, au seaweed, in other words, mwani is seaweed or sea moss. Kilimo cha mwani Zanzibar, 90% ya wakulima wake ni wanawake, na vile vile mwani unachangia pato la fedha za kigeni Zanzibar, ikiwa ni namba 3, ikifuatiwa na utalii na karafuu. Lakini vile vile Zanzibar ndio wanaolima mwani mwingi zaidi, au wazalishaji wa mwani wa kwanza barani Afrika. Lakini pia tutambue duniani kote 97% ya mwani wote unazalishwa Asia. The rest of us all tuko within the 3% ambayo Zanzibar inaongoza kwa Afrika. Kwa hiyo bado tuna nafasi. Lakini nikirudi kwa hawa wanawake wakulima wa mwani, nini sisi tunawafanyia Zanzibar Maisha Bora Foundation? Tuliona ni muhimu kuwawezesha waongeze tija hawa wakulima wa mwani, kwa sababu wamekuwa kwenye kilimo hiki kwa muda mrefu, lakini kimekuwa ni kilimo ambacho hakijawaletea tija na bei ya mwani iko chini, pamoja na yote tunayoyasikia kwamba wanalima zaidi lakini hakuna wanachokipata. Kwa hiyo Zanzibar Maisha Bora Foundation tuko pale. Kazi yetu ya kwanza kubwa kuwaweka kuwa organize ili waweze kusajiliwa, ili waweze kuaccess mikopo, na hii tunafanya kushirikiana na agencies za serikali pia kuona ni namna gani tunaweza tukawawezesha hawa kina mama. Lakini la pili, akina mama wana challenges nyingi sana katika kilimo chenyewe, ikiwa mojawapo ni vifaa duni vya kulimia, bado hawana teknolojia nzuri. Tabia nchi, mabadiliko ya tabia nchi yamesababisha global warming, maji yamekuwa ya moto zaidi, wanatakiwa waende wakalime ndani zaidi, na hawa ni wanawake. Kwa hiyo lazima wawezeshwe kwanza uwezo wa kuogelea au kudive, uwezo pia wa wao kupata vyombo vya kuwafikisha mbali zaidi, waweze kufanya kazi zao vizuri, na hilo pia Zanzibar Maisha Bora Foundation tumeliona na serikali kwa ujumla. Kwa hiyo tumeweza kufanya nao kazi kwa kuwapatia boats, machine na kuwapa pia mafunzo ya kuogelea hawa kina mama wakulima wa mwani. Ifahamike kwamba tunawasupport vikundi 16 Unguja na Pemba. Kati yao kila kikundi kina takriban akina mama 20. Kwa hiyo hilo ndio eneo ambalo sisi Zanzibar Maisha Bora tuna support. Na baada ya hapo pia changamoto zinaendelea, sio tu kwenye kulima, teknolojia duni, lakini pia kwenye processing, nyororo mzima wa thamani. Mwani unapolimwa unabidi ukaushwe. Sasa katika swala zima la ukaushaji wa mwani, teknolojia pia duni wanatumia, bado walikuwa wanaanika chini mwani, kwa hiyo haukauki, au wanatumia majamvi. Kwa hiyo mwani haukauki, unatengeneza fungus, unakuwa na mchanga, mwisho wa siku unakuwa na unapoteza thamani yake. Kwa hiyo hawa wakina mama wanafanya kazi kubwa, lakini mwani unakuwa hauna thamani. Vile vile kuna matatizo mengine baada ya hapo, ni kwamba wanashindwa kuchakata mwani na kuweka, wanalazimika kuuza kama ulivyo umekaushwa, tunaona kama ni raw to material, lakini ambapo wangeweza kuweka thamani zaidi ili wakapata faida zaidi. Sasa hayo yote ni wakulima wa mwani wanahangaika nayo, lakini sisi Zanzibar Maisha Bora Foundation tuko pale kuwasaidia nini. Tumeshasema tumewasaidia kwenye ukulima, lakini sasa kwenye huu mnyororo wa thamani wote tumeweza pia kuwapatia mashine za kusagia mwani, kwa sababu mwani wenyewe ukiwa haujasagwa, umekaushwa tu, ukiuzwa unauzwa kilo shilingi 1,000, lakini ukisagwa tu mwani unauzwa 10,000. Sasa utaona jinsi tayari kwa kutumia teknolojia ndogo tu umeweza kupata tija. Kwa hiyo tulichofanya Zanzibar Maisha Bora Foundation pia ni kujaribu kuwapa mashine hawa wakulima wa mwani ili waweze wenyewe kuanika na kusaga na kuuza mwani wao. Lakini vile vile katika ukaushaji, niseme hapo pia tumeweza kuwasaidia vichanja. Iko kama meza na net ambayo waweze kuanika juu, na hili zoezi tulilifanya kusaidiana na FAO. Tulifanya kwa pamoja, tukawawezesha hawa wakulima wetu wa mwani, lakini bado nasisitiza ni vikundi vile ambavyo tulivitaja vichache, bado kuna wakulima wengi wa mwani bado hawajafikiwa, lakini na serikali nayo iko mbioni kuwasaidia. Hao ni Zanzibar Maisha Bora Foundation, wanawasaidia wanawake wakulima wa mwani. Lakini nini hamu yetu zaidi? Hamu yetu zaidi Zanzibar Maisha Bora Foundation ni tuweze kuwa na innovation hub, yani center ambayo tunaweza tukawapa technology hawa wakina mama, tukawafundisha namna bora ya kuprocess mwani mzima, yani process yote kutoka kukausha, kutumia technology na kutengeneza products mbalimbali. Hapo itanigusa niende niwaambie matumizi ya mwani. Hilo ni jambo pia nadhani lilikuwa linafanya haikufahamika vizuri namna gani mwani uko very special in the world. Ni mmea ambao una virutubisho vingi kuliko mmea wowote duniani kwa mahitaji ya mwanadamu. That is a fact. Kwamba una nutrients nyingi sana, una madini mengi sana, una iron, iodine, calcium na vitu vingi sana, naona siwezi kufika huko. Na hawa ni akina mama ambao wanalima mwani, lakini hawajui kama mwani ni chakula na faida zake katika miili yao. Hawa ndio akina mama ambao wako Zanzibar, ambao maternal mortality rate is high. Iko katika sasa hivi at least tunasema tunafurahi imeshuka kidogo, ilikuwa about 300 lakini sasa hivi imeshuka mpaka 164. Hawa ni wanawake, vifo vinawakuta wajawazito wengi vikichangiwa na malnutrition ambayo inasababisha anemia. Kwa hiyo hawa akina mama wanaingia leba wakiwa na damu ndogo, complication ndogo tu ikitokea, huyu mama anashindwa kuishi. Lakini vile vile kuna tatizo kubwa la udumavu, stunting. Zanzibar, kila mtoto mmoja kati ya watoto 5 ana udumavu. And yet here tunaongelea kuhusu mwani ambao una virutubisho vingi. Kwa hiyo tuna produce wenyewe mwani, alafu tunauuza nje, tunashindwa kuutumia kama chakula. Sasa ni hamu yangu kubwa kuona muda umefika kwamba mwani tuweze kuzungumzia zaidi na faida zake, ambayo hapa nimetaja tu kwa upande wa chakula. Of course, na moja kubwa pia ndio source ya income. Wanapata kipato hawa wa mama, na anapopata mama kipato, maana yake ni kwamba ataweza kununua chakula pia kingine, ataiwezesha familia yake kuwa na afya njema. Kwa hiyo hata kuwasaidia kwenyewe tu kuongeza kipato ni njia moja ya kuwapeleka kwenye taifa ambalo lina afya njema, na kama sisi wenyewe tunavyosema, Zanzibar maisha bora inasema ni quality life to every Zanzibari. Ni maisha bora kwa kila Mzanzibari. Kwa hiyo tunataka tuitumie mwani itufikishe huko. Tuieleze dunia, tuwaeleze Watanzania na kote kwamba mwani ina faida sana. Tuweze kuitumia. Mwani ni mbolea, mwani ni cosmetic, mwani huko duniani tunakouza wengi wanakwenda kwa nia ya kuifanyia cosmetics na mambo mengine mengi. Actually, ukitaka kubaki kijana utumie mwani kwa sababu ina anti-aging effect kubwa sana. Kwa hiyo ni washauri pia wote tuendelee kutumia mwani na tuweze kusaidiana na hao wamama waondokane. Mwani uwe ni chanzo cha fedha kwao, lakini mwani uwe pia ndio mkombozi wao katika swala zima la lishe duni Tanzania na duniani kote kwa ujumla. Naomba pia niseme tu kwamba rai yangu ni kwamba wakati umefika tujikite zaidi kwenye kufanya research. Mwani bado haujatambulika vizuri. Research zaidi tuone nini kiko ndani ya mwani, au mwani pia uko aina nyingi. Ni kwamba ni aina gani basi labda is the best kutumika kama chakula. Mwani inaweza kutusaidia namna gani kwenye mambo mengine yote, na swala zima tunajua la mazingira. Mwani ni source ya blue carbon. Kwa hiyo yote hii tukichukulia hili swala zima la mwani, mimi nimeliona lina umuhimu sana kulijumlisha kwanza kwa Zanzibar na wanawake na lishe, afya bora na kama source ya chakula muhimu. Na mwisho tu ningependa niseme mwani is our future. 70% of our world is made of ocean. Ni maji, 70% ni maji. 30% tu ndio ardhi. Na hiyo ardhi tuna matumizi nayo mengi sana. Ardhi hiyo tunajenga miji yetu, tunalima, tunafanya kila kitu kwenye hiyo ardhi. Kwa hiyo it's about time to change direction. Tufikirie kuitumia bahari yetu ili iweze kututunza na kutupa future yetu. Lakini kabla sijamalizia kabisa, naomba ninukuu kidogo. Nimnukuu Vincent Dumaza kwenye kitabu chake cha mwaka 2023, The Seaweed Revolution, How Seaweed Has Shaped Our Past and Can Save Our Future. Anasema, what do we do with seaweed? Practically everything. What do we currently know what to do with seaweed? Practically nothing. Asanteni.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Again, a round of applause for her. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and you have summarized it so well. And you've spoken about the seaweed, but also the ocean resources that are available within Zanzibar, and your foundation, the Maisha Bora Foundation, is working to empower women to utilize these ocean resources to empower themselves to feed their families for their own economic livelihood. So thank you, Your Excellency. I understand the foundation is working very, very hard to educate women to access the equipment they need and to help them to transform the products, the ocean resources, into something that brings value, additional value. Instead of selling raw products, is to process and to get additional value. And that value at the moment is really lacking because most of the women are selling raw products. So your call to us today is really to assist the women of Zanzibar through the foundation to help them to exploit this resource that is really available, but at the moment not very well exploited. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I'm moving on now to the Honorable Minister. Moving on now to the Honorable Minister Anne Tiveren, the Minister of International Development of Norway. Honorable Minister, you have recently launched Norway's new food security strategy in development cooperation. What are your priorities when addressing nutritional challenges as part of the food systems transformation?
Thank you very much, Excellency. Thank you for your inspiring words. And let me start by saying that it's a true honor for me to be here at this important event. I came straight from the Climate Summit in Nairobi last night, where also food production and climate adaptation into food systems, related to food systems, what's at the core of what I believe Africa wants to push at the coming COP, and it is so important that we stress this issue. It is quite absurd that we in 2023 are able to. Is it not working? Should I come closer? Or is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It is quite a paradox that in 2023 we send tourists to space, and we are yet not able to feed a global population with nutritious meals every day.
Absolutely.
And I believe that at the core of attacking this tremendous challenge is investing in small-scale food producers, and of whom most are women. That is why, as you said, Madam Moderator, we recently launched a strategy for combating hunger through investing in small-scale production. And nutrition is at the very heart and one of the focus areas of that strategy, both addressing malnutrition and undernutrition. And what do we know today of the people suffering the most from malnutrition and undernutrition and food insecurity? Well, we know that most of them live in rural areas, many of whom are women. And it is a paradox that the people most likely to suffer from food insecurity are themselves food producers. So what we need to do is invest in small-scale production, getting the productivity up in a climate-smart manner, giving these often women tools that are adequate to scale up productivity, but also bringing these products to the local and regional markets. Yesterday, at the Climate Summit, many of the African heads of state spoke of the opportunities in the green transformation, and I think we need to talk a lot more about that, because we need to transform our food systems. We need to transform the food systems of Norway. We need to transform the food systems of Africa. And that is a huge opportunity for each of those 33 million small-scale farmers that can make a living stepping out of self-subsistence farming and becoming the head of their own life and economic independence. So I'm very, very excited about the potential. And before I stop, let me also just say 2 words about the aquatic sector, which which Her Excellency spoke so eloquently about. We know that a lot of the animal protein consumed at this continent comes from protein from fish. We need to manage these resources in a much more sustainable way, but we also need to get up the productivity in the sector, including inland waters and rivers, securing micronutrients and nutrients for a growing population on this continent. And Norway stands ready to invest in small-scale fishermen, small-scale farmers, according to the continent's own strategy, including the AU's Malibu Declaration. And I truly believe that this has transformative powers for the African continent.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Ann Tiveren. A round of applause for her. She has reminded us again, and that's actually the reason why we are here, the fact that the food producers are actually the ones who are food insecure. And that's really a paradox that we have to resolve. And I'm so glad you remind us of the technological advances that have been made. You know, we go to this space, but we just can't solve this very basic issue. Thank you for the challenge that you've thrown to us. And thank you so much, Your Excellency and the Honorable Minister. And let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. So we are going to transition to the next panel. And I'm going to start to call out our panelists. And the next panel is also another exciting one. It's going to be a round table with the women leaders. So I'm going to call them out. The first panelist is Honorable Umi Ali Mwalimu, the Minister of Health, Tanzania. Please welcome to the podium. And the next panelist, as we wait for Honorable Umi, the next panelist I would like to invite to the podium is Ms. Dina Esposito, the Assistant to the Administrator, Resilience and Food Security at the USAID, Feed the Future Deputy Coordinator for Development and Global Food Crisis Coordinator. Welcome, Ms. Dina. The next panelist is Ms. Wilma Van Es, the Head of Food Security and Nutrition Division, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Netherlands. Welcome, Ms. Wilma. The next panelist is Dr. Shakuntala. Dr. Shakuntala is the Director for Nutrition, Health, and Food Security and Impact Area, CGIAR, and the World Food Prize Laureate. And the last but not least is Mrs. Hewart Dasene, the Nutrition Coordination Lead Executive Officer, the Ministry of Health, Ethiopia. Please give a round of applause to these wonderful speakers. Okay, thank you very much for joining us. Ms. Umi? No? Okay, all right, you will introduce yourself. Thank you. So I'm going to pose the first question to you. What initiatives are you leading in your country in support of women's role in transforming food systems for stronger nutritional benefits? This is a question to Honorable Umi. Are you a replacement for Honorable Umi? No. Okay, so what initiatives are you leading in your country in support of women's role in transforming food systems for stronger nutritional benefits?
All right, thank you. Let me start by introducing myself. I'm not Honorable Umi. Rather, I'm a Deputy Permanent Secretary from the Ministry of Health. And I know she had 2 sessions. I had come for the next one, but I think I'll also attend this one. So as a country in Tanzania, we've had several interventions in terms of supporting women to ensure that they have sustainable availability of food, but also affordability. So there are a number of interventions that have been done. One of them is having specific programs for women, especially those who are involved in small-scale farming. And through the local government authorities, which is under the President's regional administration and local government authorities, we have a process, or we have a program whereby they are given, they get 10% from the collection of the local government councils. And once they're given this money, actually they can also use it in agriculture, especially in small farming. But again, another thing is that we've had several interventions in terms of educating women on health diet, but also proper nutrition for themselves as women, but also for under 5 children. We all understand that when you're talking about malnutrition, it's more, it impacts more women and under 5 children than other population segments, okay? So there are such projects that really empower women in terms of giving them education on how they can prepare food, they can maintain nutrition, and they can feed their children. But if you go around Tanzania, you'll find there are several markets which are dedicated for women, okay, in terms of providing them with an opportunity of selling their products, okay, as a way of generating income, but also as a way of sustaining their families. And there are also procedures whereby they can get subsidies, okay, in terms of making sure that they get seeds and such other facilities to make sure that really it becomes a little bit more easier for them as women compared to the rest of the population. But lastly, let me talk about you know, we have different segments of women. There are those who are in the rural areas, but there are also who are in the urban areas. So there are those women who are in the urban areas who are specifically, they're not really involved in agriculture as a way of ensuring sustainability of food systems, but they're more involved in pet trading, okay? So this is very common in our markets. If you go to some of our markets, you find that there are special places that have been earmarked for women where they can sell their products. And because women are really the major producers, or I would say, if you look into the agricultural sector, there are more women actually involved in agriculture. So there are a lot of other things that have been done actually to make sure that really we improve their agricultural techniques so that they can have more yield, but also we improve their skills in terms of value addition on whatever they grow, but also we educate them to make sure that whatever they grow is not only for business, but they also keep some for their families, because we understand there are no families without women, okay? They are really the major population segment that takes care of the families. So I think that's what I can share so far. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and sorry to ambush you, but fabulous inputs and insights. Indeed, very, very important to look at, especially when you look at nutrition, the women and the children dimension, and particularly educating women on nutritious foods and how to prepare that to keep the nutrients, and the positive segregation measures that you have used, giving targeted inputs to women, for example, that is really key in enabling women to be strong actors and also to work towards nutritional benefits for their families. Thank you so much. And now I move on to Ms. Dina Esposito. Ms. Dina, I know USAID is, again, very, very active within this space, and it would be very, very interesting to hear the strategies and actions USAID is currently implementing to support African nations in their endeavors to transform their food systems with a specific focus on addressing nutritional challenges.
Thank you very much for the question, and I'm just thrilled to be part of this very distinguished panel here this morning to be talking about nutrition. We talked a lot about ag production yesterday, which is a key part of nutrition, but necessary but not sufficient to really get at the nutrition outcomes. The U.S. government does have a global food security strategy. In fact, it's enshrined into our legislation, and we have a Global Food Security Act that allows us to spend about $1 billion a year on food and nutrition security around the world, and some 45% of those resources actually come to the African continent. And we have three objectives in that strategy, one being getting more nutritious food into the hands of women and children. A second one relates to building more resilient households, communities, and systems. And a third is focused on inclusive and sustainable agricultural production. And all three of those things need to work together to get to the nutrition outcomes. We've really evolved in our thinking since we started this about 14 years ago. And we've now got nutritious, affordable, and safe diets at really the center and heart of that strategy. And it involves both diversification of production. We spend a lot of this money on agricultural research, including in nutritious crops, working to make them more climate resilient, more nutritious, higher yielding, in things like sorghum, millet, indigenous African crops like cowpea, and we're also working on peanuts and a variety of nutritious crops. And we'll soon be investing more in indigenous African crop research to really focus on that crop diversification component. But we have also learned that increasingly, even in rural populations, those who are growing food are still buying most of their food on local markets. And so and increasingly the food that they're consuming is processed food. So we have recently added a large-scale food fortification component to our portfolio, and that is really focused on getting millions of people access to more nutritious, to essential vitamins and minerals through processed food. It builds on an initiative in West Africa that we had working with local processors and national governments to fortify cooking oil, wheat flour, and salt. In addition to the food fortification, our strategy has also evolved to invest more in food loss and waste, particularly on the post-production, post-harvest side. And we have done things like facilitate private sector partnerships in Nigeria to get cold storage hubs in local markets in Nigeria to allow sellers and buyers to keep that food safe, particularly fruits and vegetables. That is also, we're also focusing on, in that regard, food processing to create offtake and jobs, especially for women and youth. And we believe that reducing food loss and waste and really focusing on capturing the nutrition of those through food processing is really a triple win. It helps us expand availability of nutritious foods. It helps us increase incomes by boosting the markets for farmers who grow those foods. And it helps and create jobs for women and youth who are in the processing center. And it has a third element, which is reducing methane emissions by reducing the amount of food that spoils, the amount of food that's lost. The last thing I would just mention is the area of nutrition financing, which is a new dimension to how we're trying to kind of boost access to affordable foods on local markets. Yesterday, we had the pleasure of announcing a $6 million commitment to a nutrition financing facility in partnership with Gain and Incofin, the investment manager, as well as the Swiss who are investing in this initiative with us. This is really a cutting-edge approach that has not been tried before, where we're blending public and private monies to support small and medium enterprises that are specifically focused on getting nutritious foods onto local markets. We're going to, that fund is going to work to get at least 30% of those loans into the hands of women, and we'll also have climate dimensions to it. We really hope that this will be a proof of concept that will get others to join us in nutrition financing, as well as maybe create new investment funds in the future that are focused on this. And the last thing I just wanted to mention, that as a global initiative, Feed the Future is adopting a new global metric to really kind of push the envelope on nutrition. And that metric is going to be around improving women's dietary diversity. We want to hold all of our missions, the 40 countries we work in around the world, really accountable to this issue of women's dietary diversity, so that our programming is increasingly oriented towards improving nutrition. Together, we hope that those elements will get us a little closer to this, to contributing significantly to affordable, safe, and nutritious diets for all.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dina. Again, you remind us of some very, very important parameters of nutritious food access. Of course, your strategy has that as a core, and the food fortification aspect, the issue of reduction of food loss and waste, very, very critical in terms of saving the food resource, basically, for production. But you also raise a very important dimension, which is nutrition financing, right? And so all the discussion we've had about affordability of nutritious food. And so nutrition financing is certainly a very, very important aspect to bring into this discussion. Thank you so much for those remarks. Now I'm going to move on to Wilma, Ms. Wilma Van Es, the head of Food Security and Nutrition Division, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Netherlands. And the question that I have for you today is, what strategies and actions, and I know the Netherlands is also very, very active within the food space and within the climate space, within the nutrition space, what strategies and actions is the Netherlands currently implementing to support African nations in their endeavors to transform their food systems with a specific focus on nutritional benefits? Thanks, Ms. Wilma.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to speak in this panel, especially after all these inspirational contributions of the other speakers. Let me start with a figure showing the urgency of the topic. I recently read, like, worldwide, more than 3 billion people could not afford a healthy diet in 2020. And as also mentioned before, it's especially the women and the girls who are disproportionately affected by all forms of malnutrition. While they're having their unique roles and their knowledge, perspectives that can contribute to solutions. And as part of our feminist foreign policy, we support governments and other actors to secure the gender inclusiveness and to promote the women empowerment. So that's also what we'll do, working on the key components of food systems, such as sustainable land use, increased production, agri-food, value chains, income generation, and consumption of healthy diets. In food system transformation, we subscribe to the need to apply a more holistic approach. I think it was also mentioned before. It's the balance between the production side and the consumption side, and it's the ecological sustainability, also mentioned before. It's a very difficult balance. In the Netherlands, we're also struggling with this balance. It's the balance of the interest of the producers and the consumers. And we also feel that the transfer of food systems is very country-specific. It can only be based on country leadership and the national pathways. So, and as third point, maybe I like to mention that this very complex interplay of all these factors which affect food security and nutrition, we will need to go beyond isolated interventions and really secure long-term commitments. And I think one of the examples for us is a strategy. From an example of our strategy is our support to a large-scale gender-sensitive nutrition program led by GAIN. And it provides market-based solutions to benefit 5 million base of the pyramid consumers in 6 different sub-Saharan countries. Activities, they strive to simultaneously improve the supply of nutritious and affordable food, increase the demand, and facilitate an enabling environment. The main aim, of course, is to ensure that poor families not only have the access to food, but also consume the healthy diets. Another program I like to mention is a program led by CARE, and that really supports the implementation of existing national pathways, national action plans, or programs. And its interventions focus on the policy and accountability, the markets, mobilizing private sector, and supporting women as producers and consumers. But besides the programs, I think we value greatly the international collaboration. I think through networks like this, but also networks like Scaling Up Nutrition Movement, and also the working with and the importance of the research institutes at CGR. I would like to mention the upcoming Micronutrient Forum Global Conference in October in The Hague, in the Netherlands, which I think is a good example of a kind of multi-stakeholder network with a lot of attention for the powering women's nutrition. I hope to see you there again. So maybe to conclude, we see gender inclusiveness as a fundamental principle in food system transformation, equal access to resources such as land, inputs, finance, markets, empower women, and is key for improving women's nutritional status as well as their children. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Again, very, very insightful pointers there about the holistic approach. I think you remind us that we have to really try to make this balance, right, on the between production, sustainable production, and also consumption. And the fact that we need a longer-term commitment really to address these issues. I like the fact that you really underscore the role of women and you put women and gender and children at the center of your strategy. And of course, the call for global partnerships, the research, and if we work together, we can resolve these issues. And you did make reference to a conference. Is it in October?
In October, yes.
October, yeah.
2020
so,
October.
Again, looking forward to it. I'm very, very excited to hear that there is such a convening. Thank you so much, Ms. Wilma. Now I'm going to move on to Dr. Shakuntala. Dr. Shakuntala is the Director of Nutrition, Health and Food Security Impact Area at the CGIAR and a World Food Prize laureate.
Thank you, and good morning to all. Food systems practices, innovations, and technologies must be nutrition sensitive and gender responsive so that they can deliver on improved food and nutrition security, as well as at the same time meet the nutritional needs of different population groups. For example, as you mentioned, women and children in the first 1,000 days of life, pregnant and lactating women, as well as adolescent girls. Promotion of inclusive food systems practices must take into consideration two important factors. They must be context-specific and culturally appropriate. And technologies and policies must be adopted and adapted in order that they meet these two factors. To achieve better adoption of gender and nutrition-sensitive food systems approaches, they must be complemented by appropriate enablers. And let me here name three appropriate enablers. Directed investments and fiscal instruments, such as women-centered insurance schemes, gender-sensitive tax rates and loans. 2, capacity building and training of women, for example, young women in different supply chains. And 3, democratization of knowledge, data, and information to include women. I'll give an example of an intervention to introduce pond polyculture in Luwingi, in northern province in Zambia, where some of these approaches were used. Women were trained to construct homestead ponds and produce and harvest several species of fish. They were also trained to process and sell their harvest, thereby increasing income, and were also trained in taking charge of household expenditure management. This included empowering women to use part of their income to purchase diverse, nutritious, and safe foods directed especially to their children and themselves. At the community level, several women organized themselves into a cooperative, creating a system to support each other, build capacity, and also scale the pond polyculture technology to other women in neighboring villages. The cooperative also organized the collective purchase and dissemination of broodstock and seedlings so that there was benefit for all. Let me close by calling for better representation of women across different levels in decision-making platforms, in co-creating and also in evaluating innovations, and truly owning the solutions for holistic food systems transformation within their communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shankuntala. Again, very, very insightful. We're talking about food systems that would be and nutritional interventions that are context-specific and culture-appropriate. I think those are keywords that are critical to how we design nutritional programs, and of course your call for better representation of women across the nutritional supply chain, nutritional value chain, nutritional decision making, and so on. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to very quickly move on to Mrs. Hewart. She's a nutrition coordinator, lead executive officer for the Ministry of Ethiopia. And the question is, what initiatives are you leading in your country in support of women's role in transforming food systems for stronger nutritional benefits? Ms. Hewart.
Thank you, Chair, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning all. It's a great pleasure to be here in this forum and sharing my country's experience on how we are engaged in the food system transformation and how we are using the opportunity to best benefit nutrition, especially in support of this food system especially for women. So ensuring food and nutrition security is along the life cycle is a key pillar in our food and nutrition policy and the food system transformation roadmap. However, due to this, the global food price, inflation, the climate change such as drought and conflict are affecting the food and the nutrition security situation for our citizens and the entire food system. So to mitigate the impact of these challenges, the government of Ethiopia is implementing various strategies such as the food and the nutrition policy and its operationalization strategy, which will serve for the coming 10 years, and the food system transformation roadmap and other various sector-specific strategies are to mention some examples. And the other one is the Sakota Declaration. This is the first of its kind government commitment to end stunting among under 2 age children in 2030, and it has 15 years roadmap and 3 distinct phases. The first phase is innovation phase. We demonstrated about 3% of annual average reduction of stunting and averted over 110,000 stunting cases. And the second one is the expansion phase, and we are implementing in 214 districts across the country. Through series of dialogues and consultative meetings, the government and all development partners identifying the major or key challenges for around food system and nutrition transformation, and came up with 22 game-changing solutions and 6 clusters. The clusters are mainly developed under the leadership of Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Agriculture, which majorly contribute to improve food production, not only production, access and utilization, and the other one is to protect risk of and households, families, resilience to shocks, more specifically on the first 1,000 days, which is majorly focused on women and adolescent girls. So to maximizing the benefits of this food system transformation and other initiatives, and to sustain the momentum of that the leadership has at this point, we do certain steps. One, just want to mention, one is we managed to reorganizing the existing governance structure, which is the food system and the nutrition interministerial steering committee, to chair both food system and the nutrition as a single platform. The other one is a regulation. We draft regulation to chair this food and nutrition transformation by the Deputy PM. This is under review for the Council of Ministers for endorsement. The other one is the national flagship initiative like the Green Legacy. So significant number of plantations are underwent. So significant proportion were fruit trees that will contribute for healthy diet. The other one is the banquet of baskets, which is mainly focused production, utilization, and access of foods. So there are many initiatives to mention for specifically for women. One is providing women with access to land, credit, and appropriate capacity building that help women to increase their agricultural productivity and income, which can improve the household food security and nutrition. The other one is promoting women participation in decision making so that women can be benefit both out of the change. The other one is increasing access to nutritious food, and the other is access to clean water and sanitation. The other I want to emphasize is enhancing women's leadership and advocacy skills, and the other one is designing a resilience program and working on smallholder household resilient to shock, and in turn will it has to be complemented with a strengthening social protection schemes such as the productive safety net and so on. I thank you, Chair.
Much. Thank you for reminding us about the Ethiopia's food systems roadmap that seems to have very robust measures around improvement of nutritional outcomes. Thank you very much. So please, let's give a round of applause to our panelists.